If we want to query a table in our database, we need to know the name of the table. Don't we also need to know the name of the database? Well, that's a good idea. Let's look at the employee table of the JProCo database. Let's expand databases. Let's expand JProCo. Let's expand tables. And here is the employee table. Now let's select from it. Select all fields from employee. And this works just great. We get all of our records. Okay, now why is it called DBO employee? Well, that's the schema. Now we can go select all fields from, and actually if I drag this over, it'll populate it with its more qualified name. It even puts square brackets around it. So select star from DBO employee runs just fine. And I don't even have to use the square brackets. So this table is just the simple name for this two-part name. Let's go ahead and look a little more specifically. Like, for example, couldn't you say that this is the DBO employee table of the JProCo database? Why, yes. Let's go select all fields from jproco.dbo.employee and run that. Now we're using a three-part qualified name. Now, if I want to be really specific, I could say this is the JProCo database's dbo.employee table of my server. Now, you probably have one on your server, and your server probably has a different name. My server is called Reno. So let me use the four-part fully qualified name to look at this table. Select all fields from reno.jproco.dbo.employee and run that. And you see, we get the same 13 records. This is querying the table by using its simple name. This is querying the table by using its two-part qualified name. This is querying the table by using its three-part qualified name. And this is using the four-part fully qualified name. Now, what are the advantages to all this excessive typing? Well, let's say I wasn't in the JProCo database. I was in the Radisco database. Radisco doesn't have an employee table, so this throws an error. Now, the second query still assumes you're in the Radisco database and the employee doesn't exist, so that throws an error. Now, this third one does not assume what database you're in. No matter where you are, this one's going to go to JProCo on your server and then look for the DBO employees table, so this one runs. Naturally, the four-part fully qualified name is so specific, it'll run from anywhere on your server and find it. It might even run on other servers if you set that up ahead of time. And as you can see, that works just fine. Okay, I'm in the JProCo database, and I want to select from Management Training. Not a problem. JProCo has a table called Management Training. No other database in my system has a table with this name. So if I go use DB Basics, and then type Go, and I put this select statement below this use statement, then this first statement is going to switch the context to DB Basics, which doesn't have this Management Training table, which means it says invalid object. In other words, it didn't find it. Do I have to switch back to JProCo in order to query this table? No. But what I can do is I can say jproco.dbo.managementtraining. And even though I'm in the DB Basics context, I can still query this JProCo table. Maybe I'm going to frequently refer to this table. I don't want to copy this table over to the DB Basics database, but I want to refer to it frequently. And typing jproco.dbo.managementtraining seems like a lot of extra work. We can create what's known as a synonym. Now, what is in management training? It's a list of classes that the managers must take. So while I'm in DB Basics, type this. Create synonym classes for this table. Let's put a go down here and run this statement. Commands completed successfully. Now check this out. We're going to go select all fields from classes. Run that, and there we go. Even though in DB Basics there is no table called classes, it appears to be local, and we can refer to it by the very simple name. Can we do this from JProCo? In other words, Let me go ahead and delete all of this. Run this one more time just to see that it's good. Go up here to our database context and change it to JProCo. JProCo knows this is management training, but now that we've created a class's synonym, will it work? No, it won't work unless we also create that synonym in JProCo. So let's do that. Let's take the same command, create synonym classes for JProCo DBO management training, and run it. Now from JProCo, we can select the synonym classes. We just created a synonym named classes in JProCo, and we also created a synonym named classes in DB Basics. Let's verify that. Let's go over to JProCo and expand it. And then notice instead of expanding tables, we're going to expand synonyms. And you see this dbo.classes synonym. Well, we can easily just right-click this, delete it, and click OK, and it's gone. And now, of course, this query won't run. What's another way we can get rid of it? Well, let's look at the one in DB Basics. Expand DB Basics, expand synonyms, and see, that is right there. Okay, let's drop it in a similar fashion to the way we created it. Let me delete all this code, and let me type use DB Basics and go. And below that, we'll type drop synonym classes and go. Run all that. Commands completed successfully. I see it here, but if I refresh, we'll see we have no more synonyms left in this database either. Here's something that might surprise you about synonyms. They're really forgiving. Some might say too forgiving. I think it's a great thing, but let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's use the JProCo database and let's create a synonym called sales area for the table dbo.region and go. Okay? Are we in the JProCo database? Yes. Can we create this synonym? Yes. Now you might not be familiar with the region table of JProCo. You know why? There's no such table. Look at that. I'm planning on creating this table in the future. I can create the synonym for it now. If I went select star from sales area, which is the synonym, what's it going to tell me? Sales area, it doesn't refer to an object yet. Okay, it's about time we made the region table so the sales area synonym that uses the table will actually work. Let's go here to another query window and let's type create table dbo.region, and in the set of parentheses, we'll put the following two fields. Region ID, which is an integer, and we'll say that's our primary key, and we'll have a region name, which is a varchar 50. Okay, let's run that. Commands completed successfully. Now, it doesn't have any records in it, so let's put at least one records in it for show. Insert into DBO region the following values. Region 1 is Canada. Okay, let's run that. One row affected. Now when we go back here and run this, we actually get the record. Okay, thanks to the late binding nature of synonyms, we can create this synonym first and then bind the table later. Now that it's bound, can we change the table, or do we have to do something fancy? Let's try that out by adding a third field to this table. As long as we're storing the region ID and name, wouldn't it be handy to know what the population of that region is? Let's type alter table dbo.region, and let's add population as a field, and we'll call it population in millions, so population mil. That's an integer, and that's a nullable field. Let's run that. Okay, commands completed successfully. Okay, let's see if we select from this if it works. Yes, it does. It will bind to whatever the table is at that time. And notice we see that third field. Okay, let's go ahead and populate that third field by saying update dbo.region set population in millions is equal to 32. Run that. Do we see the results over here? Yes, we do. Let's make another change to this table. Let's change it so we have a fourth field called corp date. In other words, the date we incorporated this region. Let's type it much the same way we did before, but let's try to alter the table through the synonym. Alter, table, and instead of saying DBO region, we're going to say sales area. We're going to add corp date as a date time and make that a nullable field. Okay, let's highlight this, run it, and says you cannot alter that because it's not a table. Does this mean we can't make changes to a synonym? Let's go ahead and add a new record to the synonym. Let's add the USA. Let's go Insert, Into, Sales Area, the following values. Number 2, and we'll say that's USA, and we'll say the population is 310 million. Let's try that. Hey, it allowed that change. What's going on here is you are allowed to make DML statements to a synonym to affect the table, but you're not allowed to make DDL statements to a synonym to affect the underlying table's design. Remember this stateless table? What if that was the table we were supposed to bind the sales area to? We bound it to the region table, but we should have bound it to the stateless table. Let's see if we can alter this. Let's go Alter, Synonym, Sales Area, for DBO, Statelist, and run this. It says incorrect syntax near synonym. You know what? That's the one flexibility synonyms don't have. You can't alter it and point it to a new table. You would have to drop it and recreate it. So let's do that. Let's say drop synonym sales area and go. Run that. The synonym is now gone. Okay. Let's go ahead and create the synonym, but this time let's create it for the stateless table. Okay, let's try that. Commands completed successfully. Let's go ahead and select from the synonym. And notice we're not going to get just the USA and Canada. We're going to get a whole lot of records. And there we go. This sales area is now pointing to the stateless table. Lab 2.2, Skill Check 1. Remove the classes synonym from JProCo. Skill Check 2. Change the sales area synonym to point to the DBO region table of JProCo. When you're done, query the sales area synonym and your screen should resemble the figure you see here. Skill Check 3. Do an insert statement to put region ID 3 of Mexico in with a 120 million population. When you're done, query the sales area synonym and your screen should resemble the figure you see here.